She posted on my Facebook, I know Girl Scout cookie sales are right around the corner. I want you to know that I'm working on selling slogans for your girls. Samoas. Are you sure you only want one box? After you're done, you're going to want Samoa.
Hey everyone, welcome to the S.O.B Marketing Podcast, where we celebrate the S.O.B that you are, and if you haven't figured it out yet, we mean small-owned business. We don't mean S.O.B.
Listen, we know that as a small business owner, you are working hard on the daily to keep your business fully operational while trying to promote it. And while some days it may feel like the business is owning you, if we're being honest with each other, I bet you would admit that you wouldn't give up the insanity for anything.
Our commitment here at the S.O.B Marketing Podcast is to give you the real talk, what works when it comes to advertising, marketing, promoting your business, and then what doesn't really work.
And Chelsea and I promise to always keep the conversation real.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the S.O.B Marketing Podcast. S.O.B as in small owned business, not S.O.B as in son of a. Today, we are very excited because we have a very special guest with us, Miss Karen Romano, one of our dear friends and one of the best hustlers that we know. So this episode is going to be about hustling, but before we get into it, let me just start off by saying thank you for taking the time to listen to our podcast. We really appreciate all of our listeners. If there's any topics that you want to hear or you want us to talk about, just email us at help@theseasonmarketer.com. Please remember to subscribe, like if you're on YouTube, share this podcast with anyone that you think it'll benefit.
Yeah, so to kind of piggyback off of what Chelsea said, which very nice to be here with you today. Chelsea and Karen, thanks for coming on and agreeing to let us hound you for the next hour.
I also wanted to add that you forgot to introduce me as your mom and dad's favorite, but you know.
That's very true. So that's a great starting point for us. So the thing is, just to give you guys a little bit of reference, Karen Romano, I have known Karen for a long, long time, probably longer than we would, either one of us would like to admit to, but I think we're going on over 15 years maybe.
Oh gosh. I don't know how that could be because I'm only 30. So
yeah, that's right. So I met you when you were 15. But so Karen and I worked together at a healthcare company. And so she was doing billing, I was doing marketing, and we just formed this friendship, which I will say initially, I think that she was actually making fun of me because I wore pantyhose every single day with these shoes that kind of look like ice skating shoes. And she would tell me that, but we formed a friendship. So luckily I have a little bit of thick skin and I was like, challenge accepted. You will be my friend.
You will be my friend.
Exactly. You will be my friend.
I will continue on these pantyhose.
That's right. But so, Karen does have a ton of experience, not just in healthcare, but as many of you out there, she is on her entrepreneurial journey as well in assisting with various different things. And it's been interesting to watch her pivot and also just to watch her journey through some of these new initiatives because there is nobody better out there to talk about hustling 101 because she is a true hustler. So if you're wondering what makes Karen qualified to do this, I did a little researching on my Facebook page. And like I said, we've known each other a long time. I had a Facebook post from January 6, 2018. And I had just accepted a position onto the Girl Scouts board. And Karen knew that one of the big initiatives the Girl Scouts do is to sell cookies. And she was already thinking ahead for me. So she posted on my Facebook. She said, I know Girl Scout cookie sales are right around the corner. I want you to know that I'm working on selling slogans for your girls. Samoas. Are you sure you only want one box? After you're done, you're going to want Samoa.
I mean, how cute is that for a little kid to say that? Like, that's the perfect, who's going to turn down and say, no, I only want one box? No. When little Becky says, are you sure you're only going to want one? Because when you're done, you're going to want Samoa.
But see, notice it's all about delivery for her. So the way I delivered it, she's like, Vivian, no one's going to buy your damn cookies. Right. But saying it the way Karen Romano said it, someone would totally buy those cookies, right?
It's true. I mean, I would. I'd give you an A for effort. I'll buy another box of cookies. I actually
So
gave that
Karen,
to my niece when she was selling Girl Scout cookies. And she's like, I'm not saying that. I'm like, yes, you will.
you're like, if you want your sales to increase, yes, you will.
I'm going to leave the girl's name out. She's like, she always wins every year. I want to beat her. I'm like, all right, you want to beat her? I got you. Let's go. Let's sell. And I'm like selling cookies like a little hustler for her. So I'm selling all these cookies and I'm like, I need you to say this line because you're super cute. You know, you're missing 2 front teeth. Everybody's going to love it. So just say it. And she actually won that year.
Yay! Because of the Karen Romano touch. That's what it is.
Mhm.
That's
It's like
what
the
it is.
Midas touch. So Karen, start off by telling us a little more about your background though. So what kind of led you to I know you have some great initiatives that you're working on right now with a spa in the town or in our city, but what kind of led you to that point?
I think it's just the challenge. You know, like the older I get, the more people person I am. So I like talking, but just the ability to sell things. I don't know. I don't know if it's the drive, if it's just like something I find very interesting. But if you told me, you know, like for instance, if you said, hey, I want to sell pickles, I will be the best pickle seller you will ever find. But just that's my thing. You know, I'm trying to help this man sell fences. You know, what can I
Yeah.
sell a fence for? Same with the spa services. You know, I've learned a lot about IV therapy and massages and facials and all of that good stuff. So really helping one of my best friends run her spa and selling those services has been quite a challenge.
So
But
let's go back to the beginning though. What are you what did you go to school for?
oh, okay. So my undergrad is in psychology. I thought I was going to be a child psychologist. I just wanted to deal with the kids that, like, you know, mom and dad are getting a divorce. Let's talk this through. Or mom's going through a procedure, which is the reason I really got into psychology. Was mom's going through a procedure? How's that going to change things? And then, like, the more classes I took, I was like, oh, we can't just pick and choose which kids we want to take care of.
Yeah, no, that I mean, unfortunately,
Yeah.
you gotta take people as they are, right?
Exactly. So went ahead and got my degree, worked at an urgent care facility, started liking the healthcare side of things, went and got my master's in health administration and worked very closely with the CFO of that same company and then just decided to leave. Worked for the big organization that we worked for. And then that kind of blossomed into another sales opportunity where I was selling billing services, human resources, marketing, you name it, whatever I could sell.
Yeah, so that was pretty impressive too. Just because I got to watch that and watch you in action with it. And basically, what we did was the company was packaging up services that they could go out and sell to other physicians. And so we had none of that established. And Karen was tasked with going out there and finding clients. And so she became the representative that was out there really selling the services for the organization. And it was cool because, I mean, anything uh, from like, you know, the brochures and the stuff that went in there, and then her physically going out, making visits, setting up appointments, sitting down with people, walking them through it. And then if any of those decided to onboard, walking them through that onboarding process. It was very interesting to watch you go through all of that because that basically is what a small business owner does from A to Z. You have an idea, you create stuff out of nothing,
Right.
and then you go out and you sell it. And
Yeah.
so how difficult was that for you? Because here's the thing is ambiguity can be really hard to deal with. How difficult was that, or how do you go about selling something that you're still kind of like in the process of working out?
Yeah. So I mean, unfortunately, the saying of building the plane while we're flying it is how I've lived, I think, most of my career. So that's exactly what I did. Just learned every service line that we had, right? So everything that we could sell them, learning a little bit about it because if I'm the only one going out there to sell it, I need to know some of the answers. And if I don't know the answers, I am not going to promise anything that I can't agree to. So just knowing everything and getting all the data and seeing it through was a little crazy and a little hectic, but you have to do that. You have to learn every piece of the puzzle in order to make things work.
Well, hey, let's actually go back a little bit further, Karen. I know a very interesting story about your childhood and you hustling some chocolate, some candy. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, for sure. Just like any little kid in elementary school, that's when your first sales start, right? So you're selling World's Finest Chocolate, if they're still around. You're selling that chocolate, trying to get the new playground equipment or whatever it is for your school. I did it obviously because I wanted the light up yo-yo or whatever toy was in that little group. So that's kind of early on sales. And then in middle school, I actually lived near this gas station, and I would go in there, and they always had their candy on sale. And middle schoolers crazy about candy, and they always had it marked down. So I'd always buy out all the bubble tape that I could afford, that I could purchase, and I would sell it at school for like 3 times what I bought. And I don't remember what my goal was. Like, I wasn't saving for a bike or anything. I think it was just saving to buy more candy to keep selling it, and then maybe buy a CD from the store every now and then. So,
well, I do know you're a saver, so you probably were just collecting those pennies to save them for like a rainy day or something.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's the interesting part. You always hear people say, "Oh, they just have a natural gift for gab, or they have a gift of selling." And that is definitely, I think, in Chelsea, you'd agree, right? Like Karen definitely is like she's in that natural category. A lot of people don't feel like they have that though. So like for me, it's way more difficult. To your point, if I'm going to go out there and sell something, I have to feel like I know it intimately enough that I'm not going to be caught off guard by somebody asking me a question or something. But what do you say to people that are small business owners and they're like, I love my product and service. I believe wholeheartedly in what I'm creating. But then when I go to a craft fair, it just doesn't seem natural to, talk to someone about my product or want to get them to buy it.
Yeah, I think it's all about your mindset, right? So everybody that walks up to your booth, to your table or whatever it is an opportunity. So it's up to you to take that opportunity and say, hey, let me tell you all about this product. I don't know, can of jelly beans. I don't know, something small. I'm going to talk about it because I love it. Whatever it is, I'm very passionate about it. And I'm going to try and make you like it just as much as I do. So that's how you have to look at things, is they're not an inconvenience by coming up to your table or your booth. They are an opportunity. So I think you have to change your mindset to see that way, and that'll help.
And I think that comes back to we actually recently created a course about event marketing and going to craft fairs and events, that sort of thing. And one of our tips that we feel like doesn't get told enough is that your attitude is going to affect your sales at the end of the day. And as someone who, me personally, I mean, Vivian said she's not as talkative as Karen. Now, Vivian's more talkative than I am. I'm really an introverted person, except for when it comes to things that I'm passionate about. And so if I'm going to, for example, I love The Seasoned Marketer. I love the S.O.B Marketing Podcast. I can talk about what Vivian and I are doing all day long. And that's going to help me make a sale in a sense,
The brainwashing has worked.
Right.
But the point is that being passionate about what you're selling, so being passionate about your small business, is going to be the most important thing that's going to help you actually be able to sell your small business.
Right. If you don't believe in your business, what makes you think your customer is going to believe in whatever that product is?
Okay, well, so let me play devil's advocate, because here's the thing is, and it's really weird because I think I am like the less salesy marketing person I know on the face of the planet. Like, I really am. What do you say to people that are like, ugh, sales? Like, I mean, there's just like the stigma around it where it just feels yucky sometimes. Like, I think because maybe in our head we're thinking about like a typical what people say a car salesman, which we're sorry, we love car salesmen, you guys. We're not perpetuating that stereotype, but there is kind of this underlying thing where people are like, I don't want to push people. I don't want to impose on their time or, take up too much space in telling them about all of the benefits that they're going to get from my product or service.
Right. But they will have no idea unless you speak up and talk about it. So that, like I said, that mindset just has to change. Like, you're not trying to be like the car salesman. I'll use quotes. You're just trying to sell a product and notifying them of, hey, this is what it can do for you. This is, and not to mention if they're coming into your business, they've approached you. So they're somewhat curious about it. I mean, this is different than going door to door selling whoever knows what. This is actually, okay, I'm interested, Like I said, every time somebody comes in the spa, I'm like walking them around, telling them about the different services because they met me halfway. All I have to do is show them the passion, show them the products we have, the services we do. And then it's not really sales. It's just talking like you and I are talking here.
So give us a little bit of a plug then for the spa. Do you want to share with us the name of the spa and where it's located? So just putting a little more reference around it.
Yeah. So the spa is called the Spa at Nexton. It is in Nexton, which is located in Somerville. So upcoming community, very large community. It's actually located in what's called the Hub. So it contains medical offices. It also contains a Kids Strong kind of gym. There will be a pizza place. Really excited about that. And
pickleball court, is that where that's going?
Pickleball court is going right around the corner. Yoga. Let me go back to my co-op hashtag co-op Rose. So they're all going in there, and we're just one little happy community. But it's a nice little area, and in the spa, like I said, we do IV therapy, we do massages, facials. It's just a nice location that's close enough to every neighborhood. You don't have to worry about going downtown. You don't have to worry about parking, traffic, all of that stuff. It's just conveniently located.
So I think the one key thing too is it is not attached to the dermatology practice, but Darrington Dermatology is right next door and you guys are in the next suite. And so you have the people that are intimately knowledgeable about skincare that are doing or offering these upscale kind of like services, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So our esthetician actually works on the dermatology side as well. So works very closely with Dr. Darrington and then offers facials on the spa side. We talk about skincare products that are best used for all skin types. That's another thing that I've had to learn is what is good for oily, combination, everybody, patients with rosacea. So it's, again, learning everything I can about skincare.
And then you guys also launched her own skincare brand, correct?
Yes. So it's called Derm by Darrington. And again, we had our training on it to learn about, probably more than I thought I would ever learn about products. I just go to Target and I pick up my CeraVe and I pick up, some of those over-the-counter products. But now it's like, okay, now I really have to pay attention to what antioxidants are in there, what vitamins are in there. So it's all pretty important now. So
that's right up Chelsea's lane right there.
Well, and I was going to say, I mean, that is probably a really important part about sales that sometimes small businesses might overlook, but actually training your staff into being knowledgeable about what they're selling. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are so many places where I go in and I ask about a product and they're like, well, I have no idea. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to buy that product. Now, you have to make sure that your staff actually knows your products, your services in and out. When I'm at, I also work at a salon every now and then in Somerville with Bray. And if there's ever a time that I don't know an answer, then I will actually go get one of our skin specialists and then I'll have her answer the question. And I can also make a mental note of, oh, this is the answer to the question.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
it doesn't make sense either, like from an operational standpoint, because like Karen,
Mhm.
you're not there on site all the time. And really your part of your responsibility, I guess, is to be sure that all of the team members on a whim, they like Chelsea's saying, they're prepared to be able to talk about this stuff inside and out, because how are you going to give advice on stuff if you just don't know the back end of it, right?
Well,
Right.
and how are you going to sell something if you don't know anything about it?
Right. And the good thing for us is that we've got to sample a lot of the products. So we're each trying different products to see how they're working. What feedback can we give? One of our lead estheticians, she actually had all of the products that we offer. There's about 12 products. And it was funny because during the training, she was like, "Oh, that's my favorite one. Oh, I love that one." I was like, "You are a commercial in itself. Like, we're just going to put a video on you and let you just say, 'Oh, I like that one because it does this. Oh, I like that one.'" So it's been very helpful to learn about the products and sample it because Vivian, you know me, you've known me for years. I'm not the type of person to put my name on something that I don't believe in, or that I haven't tried. So that's one thing as far as sales that I have kind of stuck to, you know? So,
Well, and I think too, we're talking about approach and everything, but Chelsea and I had a sidebar conversation before we hopped on with you, and we were talking about how it's interesting that people are, it feels so unnatural because they feel like they are imposing on people. But really, like you're saying, the thing is, you can help
mhm.
way more people by just introducing and bringing up the conversation and really looking at it or doing one of the things I like to do when we're out promoting the healthcare organization is I don't just go up to them and say like, "Hey, do you happen to have, a physician or whatever?" I always just start a conversation to get to know them better, because one or two things will come up. They'll usually say, "Oh yeah, I just moved here," or "I've been here in the community for a long time." And that gives me a point of reference on how to start or introduce the idea of our organization. So I feel like you can't really sell the best if you're not out there trying to genuinely get to know what the
Right.
person needs,
Yeah,
right?
you're absolutely right. I would feel more apt to buy something if you took a second to say, "Hey, well, what exactly are you looking for? What brought you in today?" or whatever, versus let me jump into my sales spiel and then it's all rehearsed and I don't have time to talk to you about anything else.
And I think, like you were saying earlier, it's about changing your frame of mind, also taking a step back and coming at it in a standpoint. I have a product or a service that I know is going to help this person.
Mhm.
So I am going to take the time to show them value
Yep.
instead of I'm going to pitch this to someone.
You had a great example of this, though, how you guys do this at the Brazilian wax spa.
Yeah, so we do packages. So you can buy a prefixed amount of Brazilians, really any service.
Right.
You can buy like a 6 pack or a 10 pack. Now, the way that I have trained our staff to
Mhm.
go about this is to bring it up to clients that have come in multiple times because, a Brazilian is a monthly service. So letting them know, hey, I already know that you come in every month. This is actually going to save you money. This is something that you should consider.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's something we're actually getting ready to launch at the spa because we've only been open for maybe barely 3 months. And we're noticing, like, I check the schedule every day and I'm like, oh man, that lady's been here before. Like, we have a package of 3 facials. The next time she comes for her appointment, stop her right then and say, hey, we can get you a discount if you get 3 facials, and even more of a
Yep.
discount if we get 6 facials. Like, just feel them out. Depending on how many times they're going to come and what schedule they're looking at, I mean, there's definitely opportunity there. So, yeah, you have to make sure your staff can kind of navigate through that and see where there's an
Yeah.
opportunity.
That also kind of reminds me of depending on what your product or service is too. So, Karen, one of the things that we've talked about is IV therapy and how it's interesting because a lot of people are offering it now in their spas, but it's still something that not a lot of people understand or really know about. And I think you had said something to me not too long ago where some of the most common questions were, what was it about? Like what is actually in the IV pack or what
Right.
is it?
Yeah, so they're just wanting to know like a breakdown of what's in the IV. And that's one thing that, a lot of people that we get in there are familiar with IVs just because they had them done in a bigger city.
Mhm.
There's one place downtown Charleston that does really well. I think they promote more of the hangover cure type thing, which is good, and the energy
Which
because
is definitely good downtown Charleston.
seriously. And then, of course, like energy for like college kids. So they do really well. But that's the main thing people want to know is they don't really get it. So I had to learn about IVs. I had to learn about, that 1 liter of fluid is actually 2 gallons it'd be equivalent to 2 gallons of water. So it hydrates you a lot quicker. And those are just selling points that, it's not actual sales. It's just stating what the facts are.
And you also leverage, like that's the other part of it is it's one thing to talk, it's another thing to show. So I know you had talked about too how and I guess this is what I love is that you will go out of your way to create these experiences for people so that they feel confident in their decision to move forward or to make a purchase. And so like for example, I know you were talking about IV therapy. If people just want to come in and see the place, how you guys are literally walking them through
Mhm.
and saying like, hey, this is what it looks like, this is the process, and that way they're familiar with it enough to say like, oh, okay, I do think I would like to move forward with that, or no, that's not really for me.
Yep, we absolutely give little tours in the IV room, show them the atmosphere that they'll be sitting in for, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. If their veins are small like mine and they need little needles, then expect to be there an hour. But it does give them, after you walk through the whole process, what the benefits are, it does give them that, okay, maybe this is what I really need. And, oh, by the way, I'm going to give you 50% off your first one just so you can try it out and kind of judge for yourself. But, I didn't mention IV therapy until I actually had it done to me.
I think the so pivoting just a tad, the other perspective for selling is really talking about, I guess it's the negotiating part, right? So that's a portion of the selling that's really awkward for people because they're like, oh, if I get a no, then it's just like a no, right? And I feel like this bleeds over into other areas for small business owners where if I contact someone about ad rates and they give me a set ad rate and then I'm just like, okay, that's too expensive for me, but I haven't even tried to negotiate any further. So there's just like this weird discomfort
Mm-hmm.
with pushing or continuing to ask questions so that you could kind of get what you want. So for small business owners that are uncomfortable with negotiating, whether that's with customers or with vendors, you're really, really good at that. And I've seen you in action all the time. The one thing when I've seen you ask questions before, I've thought to myself, I'm like, man, she is bold. She is bold. Like I would never think to ask someone for that. But like what kind of triggers you or what makes you comfortable to do that?
I have to give credit to my mom on that one because my mom loved a good haggle. So we would go to, we'd go to the flea market in Columbia. And she would haggle. Something could be $2. And she would go, I'll give you 50 cents for. And I'm you, right? I'm that person that's like, 50 cents, mom, just give them the $2. But she got it, or she might have gotten it for $1. And I asked her about it, like, why do you do that? Like, just pay we got $2, mom, we got it. And she'd go, it doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to just ask them, what they can do. And you start out as low as you want to, and then you work your way up until you get happy and you're comfortable. They're happy. They've made the ad sales. You're happy because you feel more comfortable at spending $500 on an ad versus $1,000. So that would be my advice is just ask. There's no harm in asking.
It may also be, Chelsea, I don't know how you feel about this. It may also be a partially cultural thing as well, because, Karen, your mom, Philippines.
Yes.
right? Okay, so our mom's from El Salvador, and I think they were raised in a culture in their home countries that it was 100% acceptable to negotiate stuff left and right. I mean, if you didn't, they would probably look at you a little weird. Like, why are you paying, why are you paying full price for that? So, but here in the States, it's very different. Like, we just think, oh, if there's a set price, that's the price. And I really can't, like, there's no wiggle room for it. The one thing Chelsea and I always want to advocate for is that as small business owners, you have to be your own advocate for stuff. So if a sales rep is going to come in and they're going to pitch you $1,000 a month, ad campaign, that's because they get paid off of how much money they bring into the company. They get a percentage of that. So of course they're going to, maybe sometimes you'll have people that will pitch you things that aren't going to fit what you're looking for as a small business owner. So you almost have to make it a point to say, no, I know what's best for my business, and this is what fits my budget, and this is where I want to start. And so, like Karen's saying, really speaking up and doing that for yourself, for your small business, it's a must.
Nobody else is going to speak up for you, so you have to do it yourself.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good way to communicate too what your priorities are. So there's no shame in telling someone flat out like, hey, look, my priority for this type of advertising is X, Y, and Z. Like if, we can negotiate on other stuff, but I'm not going to negotiate on this, right? And sometimes that's not always price. That could be other stuff. So then that gives them a little more room to be creative in what they're presenting you.
Exactly. And you can use it as like putting them against each other, like I have 3 opportunities for, it's almost like,
I love you, Karen.
right. Like you're a judge on American Idol. So I got 3 opportunities. Who's going to sing the best song? Who's going to make me, vote for them? What are you going to give me? Because at the end of the day, like, I don't care what vendor A is, going to sell. I just want the best deal for the business. So pitch what you got.
Well, and one thing I've noticed, Karen, on your Facebook page is you will absolutely blast a small business if they do a great job. So like all the time I'm seeing you post about getting your car detailed, which as someone who has a very messy car should probably do that.
That's your next birthday gift.
There you go.
That's my next birthday gift is a clean car.
I mean,
car detailing.
This is probably what I should do. But my point is these small businesses don't necessarily ask you to promote them on your social media. You just go ahead and do it because you understand how difficult it can be and how important word of mouth is. Mm-hmm. But what do you think is stopping these small businesses from actually asking their clients or their customers to spread the word about their small business and to help them with their promotions?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is because I can tell you anytime I've blasted about anybody, they didn't say, oh, yeah, make sure you put me on your Facebook or make sure you let everybody know. It's just like, that's my thing to do. Mm-hmm. You talked about the car detailing business, so I'll do a plug for them if I can. Palmetto Paint Correction and Detail. They're just great people. They jump in anytime I need them. They do a great job. They take pride. We talked about passionate. The owners, Marvin and Christy, they're very passionate about what they do. And that's what I want to tell people is like, hey, I trust these people with my car. And Vivian knows I care about my car a lot.
She had a very long spreadsheet before she bought this car, and she made a big decision to go out and buy a BMW. So, yeah, she loves this car.
I had to negotiate, though, Vivian, didn't I? Did have to negotiate. But, yeah, that's my thing is I love promoting people when they do great work. I just had a fence put up for the dog. So for Renfro, he has a fence now. And the fence guy, the last thing I said to him was, hey, do you have a Facebook page so I can tag you, let people know about you? And he said, no, I don't, I'm just too busy for it. And I was like, oh, well, I can help you with that. Just pitching it, So now I've got to post pictures of fences. So be on the lookout for that. But it's just giving that word of mouth. That's the best kind of marketing you can do because one, it's free. You just got to do a good job. And, there's even one guy that was referred, so word of mouth, and he looked at my air conditioner. All of these air conditioning companies were like, yeah, you got to replace it. It's going to be $15,000. And of course, Vivian knows I negotiated that down. But he came for a second look and he goes, do you still have like 5 more years with this air conditioner? We might have to do refill of your Freon and it'll be like 150 to $200, but you're still good.
Compared to 15,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he could have taken me for 12,000 because I would have been like, oh, that's a lot cheaper than 15. But he told me the truth. And I still refer people to him, this day.
I think so what I've seen, that's kind of interesting, and I think it's going to get even more interesting over the next couple of years. Karen, because you're helping with the spa and really getting the promotion out there and the word out about the spa, and then also with these small businesses that you're personally using and you're wanting to help, just spread good stuff about them. What's interesting is I've noticed we have Facebook, Instagram, they just launched Lemonade. We have TikTok, we have all of these apps, right? And so I understand a small business owner when they're saying, I cannot keep up and I cannot manage this. But if you've noticed, the people that are doing the best when it comes to their promotions are the people that are not pre-scheduling and doing all this big stuff. It's the people that make it look so seamless, like they're just taking people along with them on the day-to-day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope that maybe one day we'll get to the point where, as a small business owner, you're thinking, it doesn't have to be the best picture. I just got to post something and I have to make it connect with my target audience, right?
Even with social media, I've learned a lot from you guys. There's your plug. Season 1. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook and watch our YouTube channels. I hope that's a good plug for you guys. But, you guys are very knowledgeable when it comes to social media and how the algorithms work and whatnot. And even though there are certain things that Instagram does, Vivian, you and I talked about this earlier today, that we just don't like, it's just, that's the way things are going. So just posting something, some detail, some content, just brings awareness.
Well, and kind of like what triggered that thought is when you were talking about the, having to post fence stuff. It's almost like, for any service line or for any type of industry, you can find a way to make it connect for people, right? So like even with the fence stuff, like you're saying, how many different ways can you kind of, say like, hey, hire me for, to put up your fence. But goodness, you and I just had a conversation about HOAs and what a pain in the butt they are. Okay. So, I mean, you got the people that are in HOAs. Your differential is, if you're working with the HOA, here's the stuff I do that's a little different, so you don't ever have to question if you're going to get written up for putting it.
So one of my ideas for this fence guy is, he does a lot of work in my neighborhood. So I would print out our paperwork, right, and fill it out based on his information. So he's the contractor, just hand that to them and say, here you go. You're already there. Fill it out, email it, give them the information. They don't have to look it up. It's so convenient.
Pre-filled forms. I love.
Right? Like I would love it too. And you did all the research for me and like next steps and you're scheduling it. Like really, that's great. And your price point is so low. I mean, you wouldn't go for all that.
There's just so much, like even, so you're talking about in South Carolina where the sun is always bright and it's like over time it fades the coloring of your fence. So I mean, even just, how to maintain that color a little longer, all of that stuff is great. So I think that's the point is for small business owners, sometimes what we see as like, oh, there's nothing really interesting I can write about X, Y, and Z. All you have to do is take I mentioned this to someone in a Charleston Women in Business Facebook group that I'm in. She was like, hey, I'm thinking about putting together content, right? Some videos, like, what are some questions you have? And I told her, I'm like, hey, go on YouTube, look at videos about that topic and click on the comments. Chelsea and I know this. Chelsea did that for our course. She went through all those comments and she picked out the ones that were most pertinent. And she's like, this is the stuff we need to answer in this course because this is the stuff people are asking actively. Yeah. So I think that's a nice little tip right there.
Asking people to pitch your small business doesn't have to be difficult, and it doesn't have to sound like a pitch. So something that I do, and I have our associates do at the salon, is if someone says, oh my gosh, you guys were amazing, or I had a great experience, you go ahead and say, oh, that's great. I really hope that you tell all your friends about it. Or, oh, hey, that's great. You should really share your experience with someone. So just giving them that thought can help them to spread word of mouth.
Right.
My second point is I feel like Karen is an influencer without even knowing it.
I mean, her or Renfro. I think Renfro and her are both influencers.
That's true.
Yeah.
Both of them are
Renfro's her dog, y'all.
That's why I have so many followers, I think, is because of Renfro.
Well, I'll say that's why Raina is following you.
Our mom, Raina. Yeah. So, Karen, I guess to wrap it up, what is your biggest advice to small business owners who are, a little shy about whether it's anything from negotiating or from approaching someone about their products and services? What is your biggest takeaway for them?
You have to be comfortable. I'm not saying that I've been as outgoing now as I've been ever, but you have to be comfortable in whatever you sell and whatever you say. You have to act like your product is the best product ever, and it's going to help so many other people. And you got to tell them the benefits. What are they going to get out of it? You can't just say, oh, I have this to offer you. No, I have this because it does this and this and this. You have to just really promote yourself. Nobody's going to promote it. You have to get followers. You have to get people that will also sell your brand and sell everything about your business and what you do. Get confident. Sell yourself, sell your business, sell the product, whatever it may be.
I had mentioned in a previous podcast episode, I think I had used the word evangelist. A brand evangelist. Yes. If you provide people with the best, and I know you do this always, Karen, is you look at the individual interaction, right? So I know everyone's out there trying to make all these sales, but when you're in front of Karen Romano and you show up at the spa, you're going to get Karen Romano's full attention, and she's going to be sure that you're getting the best experience, because I think you understand very well that that person having a wonderful experience is not just going to be a repeat customer, but they're also going to go put it on Facebook. Yeah. They're going to go tell their friends.
You have to make them feel special. Not that everybody's not special, but you have to make them feel special. So when we first opened the spa, I would make a little note. So if so-and-so had to reschedule their appointment because they sprained their ankle, I made sure our esthetician or our massage therapist was like, hey, how's that ankle injury? How's that going? Or, hey, how was the move into the new apartment? Just because it's a little something that starts up a conversation and really builds a relationship with them.
That's the key right there, the relationship. It's crazy because I feel like, for business, we've kind of gone the other way where we're not focusing on that as much, but that's really what's going to bring back the reoccurring customers. Well, Karen, where can we find you?
So the spa can be found on our website at nextandspa.com, or you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Next and Spa. Yeah, we're all over. You can look for me on my little golf cart. I bought a little banner that says we're open. That's free marketing, by the way. I mean, okay, it was like $50 for the banner, but it's still marketing, right?
Listen, she's for hire if you guys want your business name on a banner.
That's right. I will, race car drivers, they have it figured out. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So,
I mean, they do make the big bucks.
Pickleball bar or whatever you're called, co-op. Yeah, I'll put a little sticker of yours on my golf cart.
All right, guys. So just a friendly reminder, you can find us on YouTube at the S.O.B Marketing Podcast and also on Facebook and Instagram. And we appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode.
Go out there, be a hustler, and be the best S.O.B you can be.